Hey, what's up, bootstrappers? This is Ryan Nickel coming at you. And yeah, Quarantine Chronicles. That was just the idea I came up with real quick here. I want to go ahead and shoot you some, answer some of you guys' Q&A. So I got, I only received questions from 3 people. So we're just going to dive into these ones. And if you have questions about marketing, real estate investing, subject to any of that stuff, or for whatever, you can ask me any kind of questions you want. I'll be answering these questions next Wednesday at 10 a.m. You'll see a video post here next Friday at 10 a.m. and then again following the following Monday at 10 a.m. if we go out that far. If I don't get any questions, then yeah, that's it. That'll be the extent. But I want to go ahead and answer these questions right now for you all. So this comes from a 940 area code. I didn't mention their name, but 940. Here we go. Question is, can you recommend the best way to assign a subject to contract? Yeah. It's a regular contract, and then you have an assignment. Nothing changes. The only thing that changes is the way that you're buying the property. So instead of you buying it all cash, you're buying it subject to. You can still assign that contract. So no problem. So we'll go ahead here and mark this one. Check. Should I use a standard agreement or possibly amend the sub-2 contract? Well, if you already have a sub-2 contract, use that one. That's fine. If you don't have a clause in the sub-2 contract that allows you to assign, just put this contract may be assigned. But all my contracts say assign my name or assignees at the end of it. I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, so that's what I have. But I use a regular contract because I don't know going into the situation. I usually pre-fill out my contracts going in there. But I don't have there's 2 things that I don't fill out. 1, the price, and then 2, the terms. I don't know if it's a price, what the price is going to be, because I have to talk to the person and negotiate that while I'm there. And or the terms. So I leave those completely blank. In my contracts is it's just a check mark or checkbox that I can just go ahead and say this is a subject to purchase or it's not, and then the price is whatever the price is. So that's how I do that. So yeah, any standard agreement you have, you can just add that this property will be taken subject to, or if you have a subject to contract that you specifically use, you can use that as well, and just make sure it's assignable. Let me see here. By the way, this owner owns it free and clear, but I'm using a subject to paperwork. Is that cool? No, that is not cool. Because a subject to is you're taking over this property subject to that existing debt. If he owns it free and clear, there's no debt to be taken over subject to. In that particular case, what you're going to be doing is you're going to actually be taking out a note. He's going to give you a mortgage on that property. That's how it's going to work. So they're going to have a note on that property, and you're going to be the mortgagee on that one. So that's how that would work. Standard purchase sale agreement, but seller financing is what's going to be in place there. No subject to needed. All right. Lastly, same person, 940 area code. Lastly, when considering a buyer is going to pay interest on a property, for example, paying off $130,000 over 10 years at 9.5% interest rate, does the total purchase price become $142,350? Thank you. So I'm assuming that because it's a 10-year note and there's going to be $12,350 in interest here. Let you guys see these numbers if they're not backwards. 130, 10-year note, 9.5% interest rate, 142. No, the answer is no. Those are finance charges. You'll be financing that mortgage they'll be financing that mortgage at $130,000 on a 10-year term, 120 months at 9.5% interest. So purchase price remains the same. Those are 2 different things. Purchase price and finance price are not the same. You cannot equate those as being the same. However, I have seen there's a house, believe it or not, went and looked at it last week, and the dude's going into foreclosure. He does not fall under the foreclosure forbearance or moratorium. He is going to lose his property on the 9th. Today's the 6th, so he loses that property in 3 days on a Wednesday. He actually has a payday loan, and the way that they structured that payday loan was it was for $250,000 was the quote-unquote purchase. It was a refinance at that point. So his loan amount was $250,000, but with interest and everything accrued on it, it ended up being like $437,000. So guess what his loan amount was for? $437,000. Every month he made a payment, that balance went down. So they actually, his total finance charges was his loan amount. I don't know how they do this and how they get away with it. And these payday, that's not my world. I don't understand that, but that's how he did it. We do not do it that way. Most real estate transactions do not do it that way. So yeah, you're just gonna purchase price 130, and then however they finance it, however they finance it. Because if someone came in and let me just go ahead and play this one out completely for you. If someone were going to come in and go ahead and buy that note, that property at 130, and they had all cash, would you charge them $142, $350? No, it's $130. Regardless of how they're buying it, whether they're financing it or whether they're paying cash, it's still $130. That's the purchase price. So keep that in mind. That should help you. All right, on to the next one. Right. All right, cross that one out. All right, this comes from Sunil. And Sunil, he has 3 questions. Question number 1 is, how do you see coronavirus affecting skinny deals going forward? I see the coronavirus. So for those of you that don't know what a skinny deal is, it's just basically a sub 2. It's a sub 2 with not a whole lot of equity. As you know, Sunil is one of my students. He went through some of my training in the past. As you know, Sunil, I still live by the 10% rule. So the 10% rule is 10% of ARV is the maximum that I'd be willing to pay for a property. Anything above that, sorry, I'm out of here. In fact, my wife and I, we are purchasing a property right now, and we are right at the 10%. The family wanted, they had to reinstate it. It's about $25,000 to reinstate it. Then they needed to pay back mom, who helped bail them out last year, which was another $42,000. And so we are actually, come to think of it, we're over that 10% rule, but it's a house that we want, it's a primary home that we want, and it's in a neighborhood that we want, and the payments are exactly what we want. So I'd be willing to pay a little bit more on that particular thing. Outside of that, from an investment standpoint, has to be 10%. So 10% ARVs, keep it simple here, $100,000, 10% is $10,000. If it's gonna cost me more than $10,000 to get into this property, I don't want it. And the reason for that is because when I market my properties for sale, the maximum that I have been able to generate has been about 10% as a down payment. So if I'm coming out of pocket $15,000, I'm gonna be negative $5,000. It better have, and I'd be willing to do that, and I have done that before in the past if it has great cash flow. But if cash flow is not there, I am passing. So there are a lot of deals right now that I am just passing on. And I would have passed on them anyway, but because of the coronavirus, to answer your question, a lot more sellers are open to us taking over their payments because they want to get out. They see the writing on the wall. They need to get out. And in fact, there's a house that was just brought to me. Excuse me. It was a rental property. The renter is paying $800 a month. The payment's $1,556 around there a month. Get some water. No, I don't have the coronavirus. My throat is just dry from talking. It's a variable rate mortgage, which is really good on the downside because we're coming down to negative, to interest rates have come down low to 0, and they could even go negative. So that's a plus side. However, the renter isn't willing to pay more. They're like, I'm not paying more than $800 unless you're gonna fix this house up for me, and I can't evict them. And the seller isn't willing to come out of pocket and pay me the difference, and it really doesn't make sense. There's not a whole lot of equity in this property. They owe about $150. I haven't seen the property, but per the real estate agent who referred it to me, they said it's worth maybe $165, maybe on a good day. And right now, even in the situation, that was probably about 3. We've been going back and forth for about 2.5 months now. So, husband and wife are getting a divorce, and I don't want that property. There's no reason for me to take that property. There's nothing I need. There's no upside there. There's no equity. There's no cash flow. There's actually a negative cash flow, and there's a renter in it that could prove to be hazardous. So anyway, that is something that not gonna even do. So how do I see it affecting the skinny deals moving forward? I see it as affecting it in a very positive way. There'll be a lot more opportunity for you because, as you know, lenders are not lending like they used to. They've all but dried up unless you have amazing credit and amazing down payment. And of course, what's the one word we all need? Jobs. You need to have a job in order to get the loan to pay back that mortgage. And so a lot of lenders have really tightened their belts these past 2 weeks. So, and I'm actually gonna have a Facebook. Or I'm going to have a video here this afternoon. I'm interviewing a mortgage professional. We're going to post that here in the group as well, so you guys can get some real live information based on a professional who's out there. I think he said he had about 33 loans in the pipeline right now today. So he's actively doing this and he's getting stuff done. But he also knows what isn't working too. So I'm sure I'll share all that information with you later on. So, but to answer your question, how do I see the coronavirus affecting skinny deals moving forward? I see it as a more viable option than I have ever before since I've been doing this. All right, check that one off. Question number 2 for Sunil. What would be the best, most effective way to harness this opportunity? Get out there and talk to people. Connect with people, network. I'm doing mailers. I went and looked at a house today. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be an opportunity to buy a house subject to. But there are people that are in distress. I would definitely talk to your real estate agents. A lot of the homes that were on the market went off the market, but they didn't cancel their listings. They're waiting. They're on hold. Some of those may need to sell. Some of them just need to, get out from underneath their payments, and so that's an opportunity as well. So what I would say the most effective way is for you to network. People don't know what you don't do or people don't know what you do until you tell them. And if you're just hiding under a rock, I'm not saying that's what you are doing, but if you are doing that, or anyone out there that's listening to this is not actively marketing, then you're just shooting yourself in the foot right now during this opportunity. You need to be out there, you need to be active and let people know, hey, I'm still buying properties. This is what I do, this is who I can help, and then let them go to work for you. And then Sunil, your final question was, is it better to do business under an S Corp, an LLC, or a sole proprietorship? I can't answer that question for you. I don't know your financial situation. I don't know enough about you or your business to give you that kind of advice. And plus, I would never give that advice. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a tax accountant. I can't do that. I know what I do for myself. I'm a sole proprietor. Believe it or not, sole proprietor over here. And it's never steered me wrong. That's how I've been doing it. But my business partner is an LLC. And so between the two of us, we get stuff done. But again, I can't give you that advice. That's something you're going to have to seek out from a qualified professional. And I, unfortunately, am not that qualified to tell you. All right, thanks for submitting those questions. All right, we got Stephen from Sacramento. All right, thanks for submitting your question, Stephen. We got a couple here. How do I make a proper offer here in California? Well, you find a house, you look at the house, you make sure that you're okay with the repairs that are needed. You give an offer to the seller, and he'll either accept or reject that offer. That's how you do it. So you don't want to do blind offers. You want to definitely look at the property, inspect the property, run your numbers, and then you present the offer. In fact, just this morning, I went and looked at a property. It was kind of funny too. We've been looking at property this entire time. This was the first time. So I walk up there, and I'm just like chilling, no big deal. He like is looking at me through the window, and there's a chair, and there's some surgical gloves. He goes, "The gloves are for you, and where's your mask?" I'm like, "I don't have a mask. It's in my car. You want me to get it?" He's like, "Yes." So I go out there and I get the mask on. It's an N95 mask, and I get my gloves on, his blue surgical gloves, and I put those on, and then I go look at the house. And he asked me, "So when are you going to give me an offer?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. Do you have a price in mind?" He's like, "Nope. I want to get as much money as possible." I was like, "Of course you do. We want to get it for as less as we can, for as the least amount possible." So after looking at the house, I told him, I said, "We need to go back, look at our numbers, evaluate the risk right now, because we don't know if where the prices are today, if that's where they're going to stay or if they're going to continue to decline. But I'll give you an offer later this afternoon. After that, you can decide whether or not to accept my offer and move forward, or you can reject that offer. I'm completely okay with it, however you want to proceed, but this is how it works." And that's how I give an offer. Now, you said here, "I have lost out on 2 now where the seller was offered something better." Or I'm just assuming that they were offered something better. All right, before I answer that or address that, let me just back up here. That's how you make an offer. Now, I don't know if that's what you meant, or like, do you, because you can make a verbal offer. I have sent offers via text that have been accepted. In fact, when talking to this gentleman, I said, "How do you want your offer? Do you want me to mail it to you? Do you want me to call you and tell you over the phone? Or do you want me to text it to you or email it to you?" He's like, "You can text it to me, that's fine. No problem." So I'm extremely flexible when it comes to offers. And like I said, I've negotiated and have closed, quote unquote, got an offer accepted via text, where then I have to then present the formal written offer in a contract form. And that particular one I'm thinking of right now, we actually did. No, we did not do DocuSign. He came and met me afterwards. He says, "Done. Where do I meet you to sign?" so that was just how it happens, man. So, but here's something else. So I've lost 2 deals now. The seller was offered something better. Here's what something I would caution you on. It's not over until it's over. I can't tell you how many times I've presented an offer and someone has come behind me and they've offered a little bit more, and I go, "Hey, no problem. If something happens with that offer, you know where I'm at, you know where I stand. I'd love to be able to help you out." And that offer has fallen through. One house in particular, I remember this. We offered, it was a complete, just, oh man, the house was bad. It was bad all the way around. I mean, there were squatters, there was trashed. I mean, you had a toilet full of just fecal matter just everywhere. Bad deal. And the maximum that I thought we could do was probably 130. And someone else was bidding against me, and he actually bumped me up to 130, and I was feeling real uneasy at 130. And he came back and finally said, "Hey, I'm sorry, man. I would have loved to give it to you. You were the first one. You've been in communication with me the entire time." And this was in July, keep you in mind, in July. And someone else offered, I think it was 139, and they threw in like a mobile home. I'm like, "Who does that?" I'm like, "I can't compete with this offer, man." I'm like, "Hey, man, I wish you the best. If he comes back and wants to renegotiate because there's some issues with the property, which we know there are, that was his game the entire time. He never wanted to give you that price. He was always trying to win the contract so he can come back and beat you up on price and get it for what he needed to get it for. I said, if that's the case, you can always cancel that and come back and we'll be here, kind of a thing. So it goes from July to August to September to October, and into November. I think we bought it in November and we closed on it in December, if I remember my timeline correctly. This is just last year. And on this particular deal. And he was back east and the property was here in California. And the seller, sure enough, the day after it was supposed to close, comes back and says, "Oh man, the foundation is real bad. It's a real bad foundation. I need you to come down at least $15,000." So he was at $139 and asked him to come down $15,000. So he's at like $124 now. And he agreed to it because he's in contract, right? So it goes on for another week and it doesn't close. And this whole time I'm reaching out to this guy, and this was a code enforcement red tagged property. And so we were in tight with code enforcement, and code enforcement says, "Hey, this isn't working. You might want to reach back out to the seller because they're having issues and it hasn't closed, and because also code enforcement wants to close their case as well, and it's just been dragging on." So code enforcement notified me and said, "Hey, you might want to reach back out to the seller, to the seller, because this buyer is not working. He's not performing and things aren't going well." So anyway, I called him up. I said, "Hey, I just want to see how everything went with you and stuff like that. And I think you probably already closed by now." He's like, "No, dude, I haven't closed. Are you still interested?" And I said, "Of course I'm still interested, but as you know, the peak buying season in the summertime is gone. I definitely cannot honor that same price anymore." He's like, "I don't care. If you can close, I want to sell to you." And I said, "Well, we got cash in the bank. We can definitely close. I need to go back out there and take a look." And I knew about the foundation issues. I said, when I was out there that one day, because he had an uncle, I said, "Your uncle really didn't let me look at the property. He let me just walk through and then he kicked me out about 5 minutes later." He's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So let me go back out there." And so I did. I did my song and dance, and I walked through, and sure enough, the foundation was jacked up. And I came back and I said, "You know what? I cannot keep that price because the foundation the way it is." And now we're going into winter time here, and prices just don't hold up in the wintertime like they do in the summertime. I said, at best, I'm going to be at between 95 to 105,000. He's like, "Done, take it." And I'm like, "Damn it, I should have said like 85, But anyway, so he was willing to sell it. It was a free and clear property, and I knew that too. But he was done. So what I'm saying to you, Stephen, is that just because someone comes behind you and offers a higher price does not mean that they're going to close on the property. Do not give up on that deal. Continue to follow up with the seller. Now, does that mean you're going to definitely get it? No, absolutely not. But because and this is one of the things that he said. He's like, "Ryan, you've been professional the entire time. You've communicated with me the entire time. You never, let go of things you said you're going to do." And that's the whole thing, is you need to be professional about this. This is a profession. You're a professional, or if you're attempting to jump into this business, this is how you do it, man. This is how you be a professional. And you be cool when people are like, "Hey, I'm going to move on with somebody else." Like, totally cool, man. But just know that it's not over until it's over. When it finally sells is when it sells. And do I win them all? No, of course I don't. But this is an example of one that, we stuck into the end, and we actually got that property and turned around and sold it for what we did. So anyway, I would go back to those two. The addresses, look them up, see if they sold. If they didn't sell, follow back up with the seller, see what the deal is, because maybe these buyers are getting spooked in this market, or maybe they're liars. Buyers are liars. So it's a strong possibility there could be a deal there for you. All right, question number 2. Can I close my first deal with the situation I had? Yes, you can. You got to be creative though. We just closed 2 last week, and one the week prior to that. And the one last week, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram or if you follow my Investor Ryan Nickel page, but you'll see that there's an old lady and she's sitting outside in a wheelchair, and we have another guy who's a mobile notary, and he didn't have a table, so I was there, of course, and what I did was I found one of those portable commodes and some plywood, and we put it over that, and she signed it. That was her makeshift table. So yeah, they're just making allowances. You have to be creative on how you do this. So of course, mobile notaries is how you're doing it, but yeah, we're definitely closing on deals in this economy. So no problem there. And are buyers buying? Okay, yes, they are buying, but you need to vet what a true buyer actually is. There's a lot of fakers out there that don't have the money, or they're scared buyers. There's one particular buyer that we have sold a property last month to, and he actually just bought another property of ours that closed on Friday. And we tried to sell him 2 other ones, but these weren't his type of of property. The other properties that we sold him were perfect. These other ones, there's not enough margin on those for him. But anyway, yeah. And one of the things he told us, which I thought was hilarious, I absolutely love him for this. He goes, I'm a solid buyer and I'm Corona proof. And, he said he was Corona proof, and I thought that was kind of funny. We actually didn't go with him. We went with a higher offer, and that higher offer actually ended up bailing on us. And so we came back with our hats, our hats in our hand or our tails between our legs, and we said to him, hey, we know you're Corona proof. Would you still consider this property? And he's a professional. He didn't, slap us around too much, and he moved forward on it and he bought it. And it was a good deal for him, and it was a good deal for us. So yeah, there are definitely buyers, but you need to be sure that you're actually working with true buyers that have the funds to close and are not afraid of the current situation. But you also have to give them a deal too. We gave this guy a little bit of a discount because of the situation, and buyers are going to be looking for discounts in this kind of opportunity, just this kind of market, just like you're looking for discounts as well. So as I'm buying properties, I'm looking for discounts. My buyers are looking for discounts as well. Unless it's a fully rehabbed property and it's fully remodeled, then there's not a whole lot of room there for negotiation because it's a fully finished product. All right. I have a buyer's list decently built, just haven't closed any deal yet. You know what I would do? I would go back to your buyer's list and I would actually say, hey, are you actually still buying in this market? And if so, what are you looking for specifically? And I'd go shop for them. Go shop for your buyers instead of trying to find buyers for what you shopped for. That's probably one of the best things advice I can give someone who's just starting out in this business. And that's what I did when I first started out in this business. When I had no income, no cash, I was on food stamps, I was poor, I was broke, I didn't have rent money. I had one particular buyer that was buying. He had bought most of my business before, and I went to him and I said, what are you buying? And he's like, anything. And I'm like, no, specifically, what are you buying? What are you looking for right now that I can go get you today? And that's what I did. I tailored all my findings to what that person was buying. So that's probably gonna be the best piece of advice that I can give you guys. All right, so if you were not able to get your questions answered just because I didn't get them, go ahead and submit them to bootstraprei@gmail.com, or go ahead and put your questions below this video thread, and I'll get them for Wednesday's 10 a.m. Video release. All right, guys, stay at it. Just remember, you're just one deal away from changing your entire financial future. That's all it takes, guys, is one deal. Now get out there and get it. Talk to you later. Bye.